This is Pat Van Dyke. This is January the 14th, 2010. And this is I was born here in the East Canton Valley back in 1916, and lived here with my parents, Fay and Stella Van Dyke. My mother came from Sullivan County, and my dad, of course, was born right here in the valley. And I went to grade school here in East Canton for 6 years, and it was a mile up the road, and I had a pony, and I would either drive her on a two-wheel cart or ride her up there to go to school. And went there for so it was 6th grade, and then in 7th grade on, I went to Canton High School, rode on the school bus, and
hook up once in a while.
And then starting in the 7th grade up in the Canton High School, I played basketball, and living 4 miles from school, I would about half the time I walked to 4 miles after basketball practice, but I sure liked playing basketball. We won the championship one year when I was playing. And then I met your mother down to Wesley Roy. She, her parents had a store there, and we went to the she went to the Wesley Roy Church, and I went to the East Canton Church, and then they combined, and then we got together, and we were married in 1941 in the East Canton Church, or Wesley Roy Church, and then we lived in the tenant house here on the big farm just below here. Scott Shedden, my nephew, owns it now, and I worked and ran the farm there, but asthma and hay fever were bothering me, so we left there. My nephew come up and took the farm over, and then moved to Elmar, and I worked Eclipse, and your mother did too, and Trula was born while we lived up there in 1944. Well, then we had what they call the polio scare, and I left Elmar and came back and lived here, and during that time, I worked up shoveling coal up on the mountain in different jobs, and then I got called to a job up to Binghamton, and I drove GLF gas truck for quite a while. Then we moved to Elmira, closer to home, and I lived there, and then my brother Davis bought the big apple orchard up in Minnequaw, and he needed help, so we moved down, and during the process, next 2 or 3 years, we built a new house up there on Minnequaw, and but I still had the asthma and hay fever, and my wife was willing to go wherever I wanted to, I guess, and all three, while we lived in Elmar, the first time, that's when Trula was born. And when we lived up to Minnequaw Heights, Terry was born.
No, Terry was born down the flats.
Terry was born down here on the flats, up from where we live now. And then Ann was born when we lived up in Elmar. And
no, Elmar, Minnequaw Heights, Ann was born.
Minnequaw Heights, yeah, I guess I was there. I kind of forgot. And
then we went west. We sold that to.
We sold the house when we built up there, and we went west, and went to Colorado Springs.
Tell them what you did.
And I worked there in for a construction company, and then we were waiting for Mother and Leslie Nevlin to come out to meet us there in Colorado Springs, and right after that, Mildred's parents, Charlie and Velma Gray, and brother Don came out, and each time they come out, we went to the top of Pikes Peak, which is 14,110 feet, and we looked around pretty good. Then we hooked onto the 30-foot house trailer and went to Pasadena, California. And
Look up once in a while.
Pasadena, California, where my uncle Oscar lived. And fortunately, I had worked for Bendix Aircraft in Elmira, and I walked into the office out there in Pasadena, and they hired me right away, which was good. And your mother worked at that place too, at different hours.
Cafeteria.
Cafeteria. And then I got the big fat idea we're going to come back here because I heard about Schrader Bellows coming to Canton. That was in 1952. And so we sold the house trailer and came back, and I worked at different jobs. We lived here in East Canton and worked in different jobs until Schrader Bellows came. Then while we were there, your mother worked up the Swayze folding box too. She's quite a worker. And then when Schrader Bellows came in 1954, and I worked there as purchasing agent for 29 years until I got to be 65 years old. And and then in the meantime, we bought the Watts property. It's 80 acres and a nice house and barn and everything. We bought that. And while there, your mother took pictures, wedding pictures every week for at least 20 years. And every time we go someplace now, she'll see somebody, oh, I took their wedding pictures several years ago. And then while I was there working at Schrader Bellows, I had around 50 or 60 sheep, and each year I had 50 or 60 or 70 lambs to get rid of, and folk came and bought them as fast as they assumed they were big enough to take.
Tell them about the pelts.
And after we had those slaughtered, we sold the meat to different salesmen who would call on me where I worked during Schrader Bellows. And I ended up with the nice lamb pelts. We took them to Philadelphia to get them treated or finished off or dried out. I made them beautiful lamb pelts. And every time I went down, I had tickets to go to Philly, see the Phillies baseball game too. We don't leave that out. And but while I want to go back, while we lived in Colorado Springs, Colorado, we would visit my cousin Emma Kent, Dr. Emma Kent. She lived up in Denver, and we visited back and forth. And we got to see, after when we retired, when Mildred retired, after she got old enough to retire at Swayze, why we took trips and went out west, out to Colorado and California again, and visited people that we had known when we worked out there.
I'll tell about this house.
And then in 1989, we built this house. We sold the farm, had to get rid of the sheep. Your mother kind of gave up on taking wedding picture. Boy, she did a lot of them for 20 years there. And we sold the farm and saved 2 acres to build the house where we're living now, which we built in 1989. And now here we are living here. Your mother is 86, going on 87, and I'm 93, going on 94. I can't even count that high. I guess that's right. And but I hope it's been. I told you anything you didn't.
Tell them who built the house.
In the house we hired
Terry Christine.
Terry Christine to build the house. Did a beautiful job here. It's a nice. We have maple trees all around us, and we tapped the maple trees here for quite a few years. But now that it's not as much fun as it used to be. And we have nice neighbors that just bought where we used to live, the Vaughn house. and we've lived here in the new house 20 years. And hey, I hope that I've touched base just a little bit. Your mother did a real good job ahead of me. So, but we'll talk to you again. Thank you.